Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. We're also sponsored by Architect, the premier site for hosting your decks on the internet. I love them and they love me, and it seems like a good reason for you to use them. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivamB. And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Architect and Quiver and my patrons at patreon.com/ShivamB. And today is going to be my Con Amsterdam memory show with my dear friend Daniel Kane, who was my gracious host at the con and also put on the coolest party with the emo party there. It was so sick. I'm going to start by saying, Dan, that this was literally the best Magic event I've ever been to. I had the most fun, and you were no small part in that, man. Thank you so much.
It was more than my pleasure. And also, I need to extend my thanks to you as well, because a big part of the fun I had was taking you guys around this country and culture shocking you over and over and over again.
Yeah, I learned a lot of things, like the fact that your stupid country puts apostrophes in the first letter of a word. I will literally never get over what the hell is it called? Sir Tolgenbosch? Den Bosch is what you guys call it. But it's like, in Dutch, there are cities whose names apparently in the history used to start with like the or whatever, but since then they've just dropped all the letters and just have apostrophe S name. And I'm like, you can't start a name with an apostrophe S. That's not okay. And it drove me mad for like a week.
Still can't look at that place the same after MagicCon. I was in a train 2 days ago and it popped up and all I did was just laugh.
It's like that, and yeah, it's just like learning how to pronounce your G's all over the place and just being like, and it's like, okay, bro, let's go. Yes, you taught me the joy of take your laundry machine, throw it down the stairs. That is the sound.
That is exactly the sound of our G's, yes.
Yeah, it's like tarmachleif, it's like, okay.
Oh, card I can never look the same at after this weekend. Oh.
It's like when creatures go to your graveyard, it's like, oh, brother.
Yes.
So I guess I will start by saying, so I flew into Amsterdam, and when I landed there, I landed at like 10 in the morning, which means like I had an overnight flight, and like an idiot, I didn't sleep. I just watched a bunch of movies. And so I was wide awake, and it was 10 in the morning, and you picked me up from the airport alongside the Jund Fund and what's Chris's name?
Well, he named himself either God's Own Prototype or Godzilla Pig, or Mr. Baby.
Yeah, Mr. Baby. That's what the nice German guy called him. Yeah, so basically, a bunch of groups of folks I'd never met before. And so I'm sitting in a van with you, your buddy Kibu, and like a handful of random Americans, and we were off. And it was awesome because like the Dutch countryside is idyllic and pastoral and empty, and there's so many cows and so many apple farms. It was like going through California but wet, and the humidity was insane. It was so muggy. I know that Chris was okay with it because it's Florida, and he's like, I'm okay living in a swamp, and I'm like, I'm a dry land man. This is not okay for me. But it was cool because like we got to your place just south of Nijmegen, and and like you drop us off, and like it was cool because like going to your house, I could see your house in the camera right now. Look, I was right there. It was amazing. But you surprised me because you decided, hey, we're going to Germany.
Yes.
After like an hour and a half drive to your house, it's like we're just gonna go and turn the corner to another country.
This is basically what our life is. It is very easy to go to another country. I took Gunnar to Antwerp on the day after you left.
Me to Antwerp.
It's also an hour. It's just
that's so dumb. You guys are too small. it was so funny though, because like I call my wife saying, "Hey, I landed and we're going to Germany." She's like, "But weren't you going to the Netherlands? What happened?" I'm like, "Yeah, it turns out Germany's like down the street, so we're going to Dusseldorf." It's so funny. It was wild because like I hadn't even gotten used to the fact that that all the signs were in Dutch when suddenly all the signs are in German. It's like, what the hell's going on? Um, that
No.
was so sick though. Like we went to like a LGS there, and I picked up from the like random bulk bin a card called a Legends card called the Brute from like olden days, but in German it's called Die Bieste or Die Bestie, whatever. In English it reads Die Bestie, and I was just like, that is now my calling card. We're gonna be playing Commander games. I'm just gonna throw this card down and be like, sorry, homie, it's just time for Die Bestie. And later on, I told Kai about that, and he was like, "You went to Dusseldorf?" He's like, "I'm from Cologne. We hate Dusseldorf," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know." Um,
It's the same
so,
for Amsterdam.
so tell me about it, man. What was it like? Like, I mean, we'll go into like what the actual event was, but I'm curious. You're Dutch. You're local. I mean, I say local, but you're like an hour and a half away from Amsterdam, but that's still local enough compared to the rest of us. When did you like? You had a big part in helping do this event, and because your day job as a musician gives and like as a festival planner means you already have all the hookups and connections and stuff. Did you reach out to Watsy for the to set up the party, or how did you? What was it like when you found out that it was coming to Amsterdam in the first place?
I vividly remember sitting on the couch next to Steph when they dropped the announcement of the MagicCon for the rest of the year.
Mm.
And when the line went over the ocean going straight into Amsterdam, that was exactly the moment my Twitter blew up. Gunnar was in my DMs and I was DMing with Chris, and a lot of people were asking questions about, oh, we might make it, we might not. Do you know a place to stay or not?
Oh yeah, I absolutely invited myself to your house. I'm not gonna lie.
And that is all good. You can do that whenever you want, and you know that. Um, so yeah, I was very surprised. I knew there were plans from Barcelona. Good. Uh,
Goodness
I knew
gracious.
there were. It reminds me of you being here.
Mhm.
Mm.
It turns out that while I was there, I discovered, like when I came back, I discovered that I have like as a residual effect of a cold that I had, I basically have some kind of like asthma infection. So I needed to have inhalers, and I didn't have any in your country. So I was dying the whole time. It was lovely. I came home and I got some. It was amazing. I could
um,
breathe again. But yeah, so everybody was like suddenly like, "Hey, local friend."
I finally was useful as the Dutch guy, and which is normally my rare metal name, but now I was very useful. And I knew there were whispers of Amsterdam from back in Barcelona last year, but
Mm,
whispers are always whispers. You never know how certain that is until that dropped. And
right.
from the moment that trailer dropped all the way up till the days you guys left was like one very weird, insane roller coaster.
So, like, because I missed out on Barcelona last year, and I was gonna miss out on Amsterdam this year, but there were some reasons I had, and some like I fundraised to be able to come out here, and I am so glad I did because it ended up like it was beautiful. The food was insane, and it was literally the kindest people I've ever met at a Magic Con. And I mean, God, dude, the venue was also amazing. The venue was hella cool. Like it was full every day and it never felt full. There was always room to walk around and breathe. There were three giant halls. It was airy and bright and lovely. And oh my God, what a wonderful just jam. But like you were crazy though, because like you took us to Germany and then you're like, we're gonna go buy a bunch of German Modern Horizons packs and we're gonna draft them. And I'm like, buddy, I'm on like 0 hours of sleep, and this is my 36th hour awake or whatever. And you want me to draft Modern Horizons in German at midnight your time? And I'm like, we did. And you got the god tier friggin' Johnny deck, but my deck was very, very good. So I don't, I had an awesome black red deck, and I have no regrets. It ruled. Um, but that is idiocy. Like, I don't know what the hell we were thinking, but that was idiocy, except for one thing, that it helped mitigate all the jet lag the next morning. Because I was so tired, I slept and I woke up at a human time. Um, and it was amazing because, like, first off, I gotta say that, like, we woke up, we go to your house, and I will say this as a friend who loves you, your house is muggy as hell. It is not built for humidity, but by God, we could have opened a window. I think it would have been fine. But that said, when we got to go downstairs to, like, you took it to a grocery store that first day to go get breakfast or whatever, and I was blown away because, like, it is a random discount grocery store. It felt like to me like just some generic low budget, and yet the pastries in there are better than any pastries I've had from like 80% of the bakeries I've been to in America. And I'm like, I'm buying these things for $1, and this is unbelievable. It was so stupid. Uh, the food, every grocery item I had at your country was insanely good, and that's not fair. I just want to register that, like, I went and I remember, like, on my way out the airport, I got this sack of mixed nuts, which are like mixed nuts and corn nuts or some crap, and it's literally the greatest snack bag sack I've ever had, and I need to get a crate of them somehow. But there's no Albert, whatever the hell it is, in America, so I'm stuck.
We
But
are
yeah,
we're stacking up for you. We're gonna just send that crate over.
and throw in some long chips.
Because
Oh my god,
we're here for a good time and a long chip. That's what we are.
Jesus Christ! So walk me through it. What was it like when? So, like, you had already started planning to bring a bunch of us over or to, like, just have us hang out. But did you reach out to Wizards to work with them on this show, or how did that work?
I had several run-ins with all the staff from Wizards Europe, and also, of course, Diana.
Mhm.
And what I always do is I just offer my help. I have this incredible bag of experience from 12 years working in festival planning, and I just wanted to add to this experience they call MagicCon. Like, I love seeing everybody thrive and do a thing and be cool. And as a creator, I am already adding to that, but I wanted to do more. I just wanted to get my hands, quote unquote, dirty and help people with planning and organizing and making sure that all of you have the experience you deserve
Hmm.
for either flying over the ocean or being here and making sure that everything is like, I really wanted to make Magic on Amsterdam that thing that you will remember for a very long time. And when you remember it, it's a fond memory of how cool it was, how warm we were, how
I
stupid.
mean, how warm it was and how cool you were.
Even for us, it was extraordinary hot.
It was stupid.
It was really stupid.
You know what I realized the other day? Like, I left Amsterdam without ever having drank a single beer. I don't know how that happened. How did I go to your country? I ate Gouda by the pound. I was bleeding cheese by the end of it. But, like, no chocolate, no beers? What am I doing here? I did have one stroopwafel though, so that was good.
Was it one from
Oh
Belgium?
my god.
One, yes.
The fact that, okay, I'm going to tell the most inside baseball joke that was our joke for the entire weekend. So we're off in we go to Germany, and we're at the grocery store and we're just buying snacks for the week or whatever, because food is significantly cheaper in Germany than it was in Amsterdam somehow, or in Netherlands. And our friend buys a sack of stroopwafels from Germany, and we come back to your house, and you're, first off, you look and you're like, you bought stroopwafels in Germany? That is our thing. That is a Dutch thing. And then you look at the package and they're made in Belgium. And it was the funniest goddamn thing in the world, because it's like all the Dutch people we're hanging out with are just like mortally offended that you went to the country to the west, or rather, you went to the country to the east to buy food that was made from the west from here instead of getting the fresh ones right here. It was like, it was so funny. It was
They
so
were
funny.
fake as well because and there was literally no
There was
Stroop.
no Stroop. It was just waffle cookies.
Yes.
There was no, like, the cream in the middle or whatever the hell it is. It's like, what are we doing? What is going on?
It was a war crime. It was a
It was a literal, we got here that day declaration of war of
yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
It's just, that we got back across the border is we're lucky that nobody was checking that. We were very
Right?
lucky.
Like I imagine all this Dutch people like get out of here.
I am now sentenced to live in 's-Hertogenbosch for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
That
right. Oh man. Okay, so like when we got to God, what did we even do on Wednesday or Thursday? Like Wednesday I landed, we went around Germany. Thursday we landed, we got into town and got our badges. And then like I met some kid from Estonia who listened to me and I'm like, that is mind blowing to me. And like I met some dude from Turkey who listened to my show and I'm like, that how does that even happen? I don't understand. And that's already how I knew that this show was going to be different. Like this was going to be insanely cool. And we left the con hall. Actually, what did we do that day? Did we go out?
you were going to this very, very
Oh, right. Yeah, so Missouri MTG, Jeremy invited me and to hang out with him and Emma Partlow and a couple of our friends from Twitter or whatever to go to a place called Kos Bar, which is like downtown Amsterdam, which is basically a sushi bar for cheese. So they have these belts with cloches, and underneath the cloches are fresh oozing like cheeses with toppings and mustards and like nuts and fruits and all this garbage with it. And we got an 8 foot long charcuterie board, starting with like Chev going all the way to like the bottom of a latrine cheese. And it was like the just 3 hours of eating cheese and crackers and pickles. And I was in heaven. It was the greatest day. I ate the hell out of all of that. It was amazing. Um, but yeah, like so with Amsterdam right there, what did you want to see out of it? Or like, what was it like for you? I don't want this just to be me telling you stories that you know because you were there. So you need to start talking, man.
I was
Well,
for me, the entire experience was I think I told it on the first day, and I still believe it. And when I look back on it, it feels like some sort of really weird fever dream combined with my Twitter timeline. So suddenly, all of you were here on my side of the water when I'm so used to being on your side of the water. That was already such a
yeah.
weird play of things. Um, and the only goal Kibu and I had was to make you guys feel comfortable and to be that for us as well. But we just wanted to show you a good time. And that was all were working on. And that was the funnest thing to do because normally you host, there's so many things you need to do. But taking you to Dusseldorf, taking you guys to see Amsterdam as it is, taking you personally to a cheese store on
That
Monday.
was so much fun. Oh my God. We were there for like 45 minutes.
Yes, yes.
We just ate samples for 45 minutes. I was like, we need to eat real food or I'm going to die. This is going to be bad. Oh my God. I remember what happened on Thursday. After we got our badges, you were like, hey, let's go around the town. And we went. First off, I got to say, your friend Kibu, literally one of the greatest people ever. He was just an insane workhorse the whole weekend because like you don't know how to drive. So you had rented a mega van or something and just drove us around. And that meant he was driving us, schlepping us back and forth for like literal hours each direction everywhere. And just he was indefatigable. It's like he had no tiredness ever. And like his English isn't very good. So he was like reticent to talk to us, but it was just like it was so much fun. He was such a cool dude. And the reason I bring this up is because like we were walking around and we all decided to go tour downtown Amsterdam and just take pictures and at the canals and see the buildings and stuff, which was fantastic. I wanted to do that really badly. But after like 2 or 3 days of high humidity and travel and eating poorly, I was like apparently turbo dehydrated. I didn't understand. But like halfway through, like near the end, because your wife was just running us through town, like running. And the floors in Amsterdam, the streets in Amsterdam are very rumble bumble.
Very
And
cobblestone.
yeah, and like I ended up like near the end of it or whatever. I literally just collapsed in the middle of the street because both of my legs seized up. Like I had the worst like calf cramps and like just complete lockdown of my feet. I was like in tears, crying, basically like writhing on the street. And it turns out your buddy, the Jund Fund, is also in his day job a friggin' physical therapist. And this is like the coolest thing ever. Like he literally, his partner stood me up And then he's like, he grabbed my like calves or whatever and like, take a deep breath. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, shrunk. And I'm like, yeah, and he straight up untangled my entire muscle system and saved my vacation. Like, real talk, I would have been useless the entire time but for that. Because like, and then like Kibu went and ran a mile and got me a banana and like water and a sports drink and just hoofed it back. And
Yeah,
I was literally just in tears of pain. It was insanely bad, but it was amazing, man. It was like that genuinely saved my whole vacation. Not gonna lie.
we were a very carefully constructed team of people. Could have robbed the bank or saved the holiday. That's the only two options we had. And especially Kibu, like you said, his English isn't that good, but that man deserves statues in every.
Oh my god, dude, he was so cool. He was so cool. It was so much fun. Um, but yeah, you and Steph and Kibu just like it was so much fun to hang out with you three because like you were taking me. It just felt like I was getting to see the real side of the Netherlands. Like not just tourist stuff. Just that's part of why I wanted to go to your house. Even though like later on I did transfer over to staying with Tim Willoughby in the hotel there because I had demands that required me to be there early in the morning. But that being notwithstanding, just being able to go out and see like your town ruled. It was so cool. Um, and the train systems there are amazingly good.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like
It,
as an American, I'm deeply jealous of the fact that you can just go anywhere you want in that country for like an hour and just sit on a train and be there. And it's like you're allowed to do that.
yes, and it's also super cheap. Is very like it's very affordable for everybody to just jump in, jump off. It will cost you. I mean, if you have a what you call it, we have these cards that you can use for a month.
Oh
That's
my
what
god, the fact that I could just swing my credit card over the thing and it would let me on was insane to me.
it is.
It was absolutely insane.
Even for us still, I can hold my phone against that thing and it will beep and I can go in a train. That still
Isn't that
boggles me.
wild?
And yeah,
Like that's to me that was magic. I'm just gonna look at my credit card bill and be like, oh my god, I spent so much money there. But it doesn't matter because I just like swung my card and it would let me go wherever I wanted. Oh, you know what we did? We ended up going to lunch with Mark MTG, aka Mark from Mojang, who is the Minecraft guy who was on my show once or twice early on. And we went to dinner. We went to lunch with him and his Swedish crew, which was lovely. And I got to see the architecture of Amsterdam, which is so sick. Uh, and we got breakfast for lunch or something. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is more that like we had such a good time. And then we got ice cream, and then you dragged us back to your house at like 1:30 in the morning or whatever.
yes, yes. I very vividly remember saving you from that ice cream guy because he only wanted cash, and then driving.
Yeah, he was like, we use bank cards here. And I'm like, I'm an American. I don't have a bank card that works here. And he's like, okay, well, do you have cash? I've got US dollars. You are useless to me. And I'm like, do you want your ice cream back? He's like, no, take the damn ice cream. Just give me €2. And then I was able to take your euros and give it to him. And he looked at me like, I did not expect you to come back.
Hey, honesty lasts the longest.
It was delightful. It was so cool.
And even a drive
Um,
from my house and back with you guys in the van, every drive we had, and that was with Kibu's passion. He told me later on what kept Kibu on his feet was the intense amount of stupid jokes in the constantly rehashing and all these jokes, all these what do you call this in Dutch? And then I
oh
say this,
God.
you go like, oh.
We're like, what do you call Starbucks in Dutch? Starbucks? God damn it.
And that literally was Kibu's life energy. And also, and he's still a bit heartbroken about this. Jim wasn't there, and he of course has this famous quarrel with Jim LePage about playing more or less lands in your deck.
Yeah, I love that Kibu's Twitter handle is play less land. And I'm like, bro.
Yeah, you made it very obvious what the point was.
Oh my God. Okay, so Friday we get there and it's the opening day of the con, and we walked in and because we all had like creator badges or cheaty badges or whatever that let us get an hour early. Me and who was I with? was it Chris? Yeah, we went and stayed in the line for uh, Magali. We jumped in. I said hi to Jason first, Jason Engel, not Engel, Rainville, Jason Rainville, and I just said hi to him, and then I ran over and I saw Magali line, and then Wheeler comes and says hi and gives me a bunch of cards to get signed by Magali, and I'm like, I guess fine, I'll just do you a favor, and I ended up getting a Forest for myself signed, and then like Chris is like, hey, you know what? I play Winota in TDH. Do you have a Winota proof? And she's like, I do. And he went and he got a Winota proof with a sketch. And I was like, I want a sketch. And I've been asking her for a million years. So I went and I said, hey, Magali. And she's like, oh, Shivam, you're here. I'm like, oh, you know me? And she's like, A, I've been on your podcast, idiot. And I'm like, yes, true. B, I see you on Twitter every day. I'm like, also true. And and she was like, and I was like, I got some card signed, and I was like, can you do a sketch for me? And she's like, sure. You have to buy an artist proof and pay whatever. I'm like, I don't care. I'll pay whatever you want. So I got the Magali Secret Lair Forest, and then I had her. I was like, can you draw a link for me from Breath of the Wild? And she's like, any kind of link, and I'm like, whatever you want. And so she did, because she is a giant Breath of the Wild nerd. So she drew me a link with a Korok that you can see in the YouTube video here, which is literally the coolest thing in the world.
That was a very special moment for Chris and for you, funny enough.
Yeah. It wasn't the weirdest part though was we were leaving and she's like, hang on, I have a gift for you. And she hands me a box, which is a Titania artist proof box. And she's like, I know you wanted the old border one, but I didn't have it. So here's this one. And she signed it and gave it to me. And then I lost it somewhere in your country. And I'm so full of regrets.
We are still on a very big scavenger hunt of finding this.
I not holding out hope, but you know what? So this weekend was so perfect. Something had to go wrong, and I'm okay if that was it. But that was amazing. It was so cool. And then, like, go to the creator area, and suddenly all these Europeans are like, "Oh my God, Shivam, I love you and your stuff." And you're such a positive influence. Okay, this is going to sound like me blowing smoke up my own butt, but the amount of people who came up to me and said, "I live listening to you and Wheeler talk about Magic cards with joy and happiness, unlike all the other people," or "I love listening to you." Casual, just being like, you're such a positive and kind and uplifting. And I'm like, you guys need to chill, because I'm not going to be able to handle this. This is too much for my ego. But it was
happy.
sick.
We're just really happy you guys came over, because the fun thing is, we talked about it last time I was here. You guys are equivalent to rock stars. The chance that we get for you to come over the water and see you is very small. And we all, even as Europeans, the only thing we consume by large amounts as well is content, mostly American creators like you and Wheeler and stuff, and the game nights. That's what we eat for breakfast these days. I have several people, because now I am going to blow smoke up your ass, and a bit up to mine. I had several people, Dutch people, in my DMs that say, "Is Shivam sleeping at your place? Do you actually know Shivam? He is in my room right now. Is that a problem?" They could not comprehend. The European mind could not comprehend that you were in my house. So let me blow all the smoke that is necessary, because that's what it is. You guys, like you, Wheeler, everybody from Loading Ready Run, the game nights, Sam. Even though we have one European Magic on a year, it's still a very foreign concept to us that you guys either exist.
We're real.
Yeah. And are also here, because that's a very typical Dutch thing, I think, is that you guys coming to our very small country with our very small Magic scene feels like we're being blessed by the crown. So it's a very funny concept to us, but yet there's a huge following for what you do, what Loading Ready Run does, what Command Zone does, and everything, and like Sam, and there's just a huge following. That's all we consume.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. Like, there were people who were coming up to me like, I use your podcast to practice English with. And I'm like, that's crazy. And like, people are like, look, I'm from small town France and I'm queer, and listening to you and Wheeler makes me feel less alone. And I'm like, that's incredible. That's incredible, right? Like, these are the sort of things that, like, we sit here as content creator, we just shoot this stuff into the ether and never think about it again. Like, me and Wheeler talking about Magic cards is a thing that would happen whether we hit play or not, right? Or like I have this show because I want to talk to my friends and just also hit record once in a while. But like when these people are like, "Oh my god, I love listening to your show. I'm so scared and embarrassed to meet you." And I'm like, "The bravest possible thing you could do is stand here and talk to me." So you've already made a connection because by making this connection, we build a community. And it's just like it's insane. It was just so overwhelmingly cool to be talking to these people. And like I remember one of the things I had sworn to do this time around, like I only brought a handful of decks with me because I was like, I've known better now. I'm just not gonna whatever fits in one bolt. I'm bringing. I'm not thinking about it. And I go in there, and I'm in the command in the creator area, and I hear somebody calling my name with this elegant British voice, and he's like, "Oh man, Shivam, would you like to play a game with me?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't get a chance to play a game." He's like, "Oh, I'm Medic. We had been talking on Twitter." I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course, sure, I'll play a game with you. I promised you." And I sit down with him, and I realize people are coming up. They're like, "You're playing with Medic," and I'm like, "Who is this a thing I should know?" And it's like, he's one of the biggest names in esports and in like League of Legends and this. I'm like, oh, oh,
Oh,
and he knows who I am and wants to play with me. Okay, well, sure, why not? Whatever. And it was super fun, and my deck did jack all. I did one play that whole game. It was miserable. My near deck did not pop that game, even remotely. But the conversation was lovely. But what was your day like? Like, what did you do on Friday?
oh, that Friday was madness.
Yeah, because I know, like, because it ended with your party, man, and I want to build up to that.
From the moment we all got in, it was a very weird. I am getting into that phase of which now I have to blow smoke up my own ass, which I think is really hard, but I'm gonna try and do it. I'm getting into that phase that there are some people that know me from either the work I do for the Dutch community or from me just screaming Magic the Gathering things on Twitter or being in Commander pods or on lovely podcasts like this.
Hmm,
So I got stopped. I think I lost all of you 5 minutes in, besides my wife. And I was on my way to get my goodie bag from the creator badge, which was really
sure.
cool. And a colleague from my wife stopped her to say hi, and I walked on, and he said, "Oh my God, that's Daniel Kane," and she was, "Yeah, that's my husband." And he literally shouted. That's all I heard was like, "You never tell me anything." Uh, really cool. And the rest was basically I picked up my bag, I said hi to a lot of people, I hugged a lot of people, I blinked twice with my eyes, looked on my watch and saw it was 5 o'clock, and I had to bolt because I had to do setup for the party. Uh,
Okay, so I want to talk about this. Look, we kind of glossed over this, but you got to do the party. Can you talk how you got that opportunity and how you did it, like how you set it up?
I talked to Gina from Gathering Germany a lot during Barcelona. Like the entire creator team from Magic Europe was there, and we had some discussions. And I told them my thoughts and visions about the party in Barcelona with Frodo, which was it was really cool to see Elijah Wood. But the party
Mm.
was the party. It wasn't bad, but I can still vividly remember Krim and Ben Ulmer from Loading Ready Run specifically saying the music was off the entire night.
Okay, look, the Barcelona party was not great from what I hear, but when they did the show in Vegas, which was like an '80s slumber party, it ruled. It was absolutely incredible. But keep going.
And especially Krim, of course, really likes his heavy guitars and his black haired bands and these really metally kind of parties. And I took that in consideration while talking to them. And eventually, at the end of this conversation, I said, like, "Hey, if I can ever help with anything, just let me know." And that
Mm.
was basically the end of my dream of shooting that hoop and hoping to do something for Wizards until I think 1 week before Chicago in February, I got an email from Gina linking me to Don, which is my contact from Wizards, with this is Daniel. Daniel can help you with the after party. Um, go meet each other and go on. And
Mm.
I mailed with Don a couple of times. We agreed to meet in Chicago. And from that point on, it snowballed into, hey, you're doing this party, which I still, when think about this, have the urge inside my body to just shout ah the entire time. And from that point on, the mission briefing was really forward and really, really clear. We're doing an after party in Amsterdam. Could you find us a location? Of course I can. Uh, and eventually was, what kind of party would you like to give? So we discussed programming back and forth between wizards, which was a really, really cool experience to work with people from a different point of view. Normally, Dutch people in music can be very stuck up. I'm sorry if I insult somebody who listens and works in music and plays magic, but we are very stubborn. We are very on ourselves, and in this case, Wizards was like, "Hey, you're a local guy. You know best. You
You tell
do.
us what you want.
This is the budget. Try to stay under it." And what I basically said was, I think I can do it in 1/3 of the budget. I'd like to give myself the challenge, and I did.
No, you don't tell them that. You
No,
take the money and then do it in a third.
no,
Like, come on.
no,
Think like an American.
I'm too sweet for this. And I got free range in choosing, and I choose a really cool place where I knew it would happen.
The venue was sick.
It was really cool.
The one regret I have is on the ride there to get to the venue, we passed by this place that said it sold vegan donors. And I was like, I need a vegan doner kebab in my life. And I never went back because I don't know where the hell it is because it's in Amsterdam.
Hey,
But
there's always a next time, because there
yeah,
will probably be a next time, and then
yeah.
we can do that.
Well, dude, I'm telling you, the next time you better have live music and it better have Alton Goon in it and it better be sick because I want that. I want Turkish disco at my Magic Con.
Oh, that would have been really good as well.
Oh, it is so good.
I would
But
have
dude,
loved
like,
that event.
so you because like your day job is setting up these venues and festivals anyways, you already knew where to go.
Yeah.
And like they told you no live music. So how did you find your DJs? Were they just people you knew in the community?
A very big shout out for this for Adrian. Adrian is the lead of our largest community pocket that we have, called Mana Burners, which everybody listening should definitely check that out. And he once because we worked together for Bazaar, he said, "Yeah, I used to DJ. I've been in your town before. I once did a show." And I was like, "You're going to DJ again, friend." And he was shocked. He was like, "I didn't do that for years." I said, "I don't matter. You're going to DJ." And No Barrier, a friend of mine, plays in the live band version of that, where they do some sort of live emo karaoke sing along kind of thing. And he got me in contact with Yip, and Yip was the DJ that was No Barrier, and that was a one-on-one perfect match. And Wizards had one wish, and that was karaoke. And I never shy away from singing. So karaoke was more than welcome, and we got these two amazing karaoke guys in a very funny suit, and they had every song in the world, and the party was born.
Dude, so what happened was like that day I ended up going to like I did a signing with the CAG and I got to meet Kristen and Charlotte and Tim for the first time in person. We all hung out and nobody came to our signing because the one negative that Wizards did was they didn't advertise the main signing hall. They only advertised the creator area signing hall. So like nobody knew we were doing anything. Maybe one or two people came and it was right during the setup of game night. So like obviously everybody's too busy doing game night. So we ended up just playing a commander pod of CAG folks and just sitting and talking shop and just enjoying each other's presence. And it was lovely because like these are friends and colleagues I've known for years and years and years and never gotten to hang out with. Tim Willoughby, for instance, is like literally one of my heroes because he's the guy who created the deck that got me into commander in the first place. And so we go and we're hanging out and then game nights is happening. And it's whatever. It's fine. Maybe not the best game nights of all time, but it was fine. And I went and me and Willoughby then went and got like con food dinner or whatever, and then showed up at the party. We were hanging out with BDM. I think he was doing cocktails in Commander. Maybe he was doing Commander and cocktails that day. I don't know. But we were just hanging out and drinking or whatever. And we go and then we show up at the party. We catch an Uber and go there. And it was a sick venue. It was like a big just steel concrete box. But when we got there was like the only people who were there were the Nijmegen crew, the like the Minecraft crew, and then us. And I know it was like I know you were losing your goddamn mind running around like a chicken that was being electrocuted. And I'm like, look, I get it. You're trying to put on a show. You're busy. You're crazy. And you're like, where is everybody? I'm like, look, the con hall's still open. Game night just got out. It's going to take people a minute to get here. People will show up. And by the end of the night, it was, full. It was
That,
packed to the
yeah,
brim. It was incredible. And the thing is, the music was all like 90s and 2000. Gosh darn it. 90s and 2000s rock music. And like rock and emo and like Linkin Parky things. It was all sing along stuff, and the DJs knew how to throw a party. Man, they knew how to get the crowd going. We were all singing along, we were all jumping along, and then they played the Pokemon theme, and I was like, "Come on, you guys!"
you
And
can't,
I was like, "I'm too old for this."
you
But
can't do that.
like going back and forth between that and the karaoke room was just sick. It was, and then drinks. There were. I haven't drank that that much in a very long time. Like in your country, is the first time in many, many years that I have drunk myself to a state where I was like, this is more than I am comfortable with drinking. And it was pretty crazy. But that's what happened when you're hanging out with the British dude in a country that makes beer for a living, right?
Right.
It's like, I'm going to die. Um, but like, seeing like Spice 8 Rack was there and hanging out with it and just being like, oh my God, I love you so much. It was so good to see you. And like all of my friends were there from everywhere. All the British people were showing up, all the, French folk and German folk and people I've never met before. It was meeting all these people was the coolest part of this. Like my main goal was to meet all the Euros, and getting to meet all the European content creators and stuff was unbelievably sick. And Humans of Magic was there because it's easier for him to get there from Shanghai than it is to get to America or whatever. And me and James had such a lovely time all weekend. And I know you did you tape a thing with him or did you just see him in passing?
No, I talked to him very shortly, and I am a very big fan of what he does and give creators a voice from across the world.
Yeah, I
And
wouldn't know anything about that.
no, well, you do that as well. But as we already stated, you have even been in this living room, which people still think is very unbelievable. Uh,
Dude, yeah, but it was just but that party ruled. And then like I remember I popped into the karaoke room. Karaoke is not normally my jam, but I see you basically owning the stage. And I was like, "Oh right. He's an actual professional musician who does this for a living. You have done this before." And oh god, it I love live music more than anything. And watching you just run that crowd was like, "Oh, that felt good. That felt real good."
that is, I think, there's two compliments that still bust through my mind from that weekend. That was you saying that my crowd control is very good, and Ben putting both his arms on my shoulders and say, "This is the best Magic On after party I have had so far."
Yeah.
That night was
Yeah.
very, very cathartic for me in more than one way. I
Oh
was
yeah.
so scared to do the karaoke because I haven't been on stage for a very long time. Besides a show I played where I had to play two songs, and I have a guitar on me, and that's very easy to hide behind.
Mhm.
So it was just a mic, but the guys from karaoke was like, "Hey, you need to hype up the crowd. Can you do that?" And I was like, "Well, I can try."
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, mind you, you didn't pick the happiest song in the universe to sing, but like
oh, oh, I know that. No, I know that. Um,
yeah.
it was
Radiohead is like that's part of what impressed me. It's like getting a crowd to be hype and jump during I'm a Freak for Radiohead or whatever is not the easiest thing in the world. That is a very downer of a song. And you had the whole crowd jumping and I was like, this rules. I was so proud of you, man. I was so proud of you. And that show was just so much fun. And like the DJs were so much fun. And then I even spent like half an hour just talking quietly with Cameron from LRR about books because he was not a party guy. But dude, it ruled. It ruled so much and you did such a good job. And I hope they let you do it again because it was a blast. Mind you, we had so many drink tickets by the end of it that I was just drowning.
hey, I got the executive order to give everybody a drink, so I did.
Yeah, you sure hell you
Oh,
sure you sure did. We were dying. Um It was sick though, man. It was so sick. And then we go and Saturday it was like I forget, did I go back? No, yeah, you guys dropped me off at the hotel again on Friday night. And then Saturday was just mega con because that was my signing, and I'm sitting there next to Voxy. And so the way the line was set up, it was like a zigzag to go, and then they would go to Voxy, and then they would go to me. And I was like, this is not good because she is way bigger than I am, and people are going to go talk to her. And like basically, the line got capped because apparently we were both very big draws, and I did not expect that. And there were like 500 people in the line, which is insane to me. But like they all come, and Voxy is just like full of energy and life, and she is so good at handling crowds and handling people and handing out packs, and she was just delightful. And then they would just walk by because they're like, I want to see Voxy, and I was like starting to get a little depressed. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not that big of a deal. It's fine, whatever. And then suddenly my crowd showed up. And they would go to Voxy and they'd be like, "Oh my god, I love you!" And then they would come to me and start like crying or talking about like emotions and like mental health and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, I see where my people are. Okay, fine, let's go." It was so uplifting and kind and just joyful. It was so cool. And dude, it was so cool. It was so sick. Hanging out with Diana, obviously one of the greatest things. But I played so many games of Magic at this show because European signers, European fans wait, and they don't drop their stuff on top of yours and demand things or expect pictures. I took a billion pictures and signed things, but when it was in a game or talking to like, sponsored or whatever it was, the meetings I was having, they left us alone. I was stunned. It was wild. Um, it was so cool. And then like I went to dinner that night with Graham and Kathleen and Jordan and Tim Willoughby, and we just were hanging out at some Italian restaurant, just like chilling, whatever. But I felt so sad that I wasn't with your crew because like you guys were just so much fun. If the geography had worked out better, I would have totally just hung out with you instead. Uh,
I think we ended up doing a very weird dinner because I I chose the place for Friday, and I got all these comments about that dinner was a little pricey and very little, which is a typical Amsterdam thing. The pastries you were talking about, the four for a dollar, in Amsterdam that does not fly because they know we are coming for sure. They do ask for the right amount of money. So Chris took the entire helm and was like, "I know a place." And we got to the place, and they were like, "We're not letting you in because you were with too many people."
no.
And we ended up eating across from the gelato place from
Hmm. Yeah.
Kuro and Ree and Gunner, who just flew in for 2 days of the con. And
Yeah.
uh,
That
very,
was so cool.
very wild.
Yeah, and like, oh, that was the day of Commander and Cocktails because we had gone out to like that fancy place, and I was like, I need to go back inside and build my deck and play the thing. And Melissa DeTora ended up building my deck for me, which is great. And I won. I got to play against 3 Dutch people. I think one of them you even knew, uh, in my game at Commander and Cocktails, and it was fun. It was really, really fun. And then they would start talking to each other in Dutch. Like there were 2 Dutchmen and a Belgian lady who spoke Dutch. And so they would be sitting there and then they would switch back to English for me. And I was like, that's so kind of you. And we had one of the most fun games of Commander I've played. It went all the way down to the wire. It was super cool. I got cracked a 1 ring, for God's sakes. It was amazing. And one of the coolest things in the world, though, I went to get my cocktail and I take a sip and I'm like, this tastes like somebody just pooped out ocean water into this cup. This is garbage. And I hand it to Tim and I'm like, this is too much alcohol for me to drink. And he takes 1 sip of it and he goes back to the bartender like, you guys made this wrong. Because he's a bar owner and he's a bartender and he knows. And he made them do it again. And I was like, oh, this is delicious. And he's like, yeah, it turns out if you don't put half the ocean in there, it tastes nice. I'm like, oh. And then he spent the rest of the night teaching me about making drinks and doing card tricks. And we ended up going to the top bar of the N Hotel where literally, so Tim is a magician on top of being a Magic player and on top of being a commentator and a bartender. So he would just have this pack of deck cards in his hand and he was just doing stupid card tricks. And this was incredible to watch. Like he was just enthralling me like, I'm going to make this 4 of diamonds appear here. And I'm like, what the hell? All of these like things that would make a child just giggle were just making me giggle because I'm a child. But it was amazing because it was just like getting to chill with other fellow content creators and just talk about how cool what we do is, and just not even that but more about like talk about your families and talk about like life and everything. It's like at these shows we don't get a lot of downtime because we're very much like on all the time. We want to take pictures of the people, we want to smile, we're here for the fans, right? So getting the moments to be like just talk shop or to just talk like hey man, how's it going? How's your kid doing? How's it blah blah? It was nice. It was real chill and real comfortable. But it was wild because like I didn't know where anybody was, and I ran to the my hotel and I ran back and I ran back and I ran back and I kept missing everybody. But it was so sick because like I met all these people from all over the place, and Sunday was like also just very chill and very cool. Like I went and I met Jason Rainville, and he gave me the portrait of myself. Like I think I talked about it on the show with Manny DeVuti, but like I showed him like this soldier token that he had made for me 10 years ago, and he's like, I hate that picture. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm gonna fight you. This is my favorite thing I own. He's like, I hate it so much, so I made you a new one, and I was just like, uh, um, what? and and then I spent the rest of the con just showing it to everybody because it was insane. Um, but it was so sick. Like the thing is that was weird though was like okay, well also Sunday they make the announcement about Kai and everybody's crying and weeping as we're watching the videos, and I was like I've always wanted to meet Kai. I've been too scared because he's deeply intimidating because he's Kai friggin' Buddha. And James from Human Magic and like Scott are like, just go say hi. He's a normal, fine guy. I'm like, no, you can't do that. He's Kai. I can't just go say hello. And James dragged me. He's like, uh, hey Kai, this is my friend Shivam. He's too cowardly to say hello to you. And I'm like, go to hell, James.
Not this good. Not
But
this.
I got to meet Kai, and I was like, I've been a fan of yours since my childhood. He's only a year older than me, which blew my mind, which is also tragedy. Like he's so young. But I was like, I've been a huge fan of yours. I'm such a like, you know, you've changed the way I play Magic and think about Magic, blah blah. And it was lovely, and he was super kind. And I told him like, yeah, I went to Germany. I went to Dusseldorf. And he's like, I hate Dusseldorf. I'm from Cologne. And I'm like, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. But the next day I was playing in Sunday I was playing Gavin's event, and I went and I cracked a Great Juggernaut, which is a card that he had made for Kai before he knew anything about Kai's condition. But he was like, I'm so glad I made this for Kai. And I left the event and I ran back to find Kai, who was in the middle of winning a PTQ on Sunday. And I was just like, Scott Larrabee had told me, he's like, anytime Kai wants to come to the Pro Tour, he can just come. He doesn't need a PTQ. He's Kai. His PTQ award is, I won 7 Pro Tours. You're going to let me in? It's like, yes, we're going to let you in. But he was just playing the PTQ with the Matt Sperling's deck and literally won because Kai doesn't know how to lose. And so I go there and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to go see Kai. I want him to get to sign this card or whatever. And I see him walking away, and then I hear my name getting called, and it's Luis Scott Vargas. Like, oh, Shivam, hey, it's so great to see you. And I'm like, well, if LSV wants to talk to me, I'm going to talk to LSV.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I mean, I yes. Also, the fact that Kai still does not lose on Sunday. He just
No,
does not lose on Sunday. Whatever happens.
I have this theory that if Kai or John at any point in time felt like they wanted to win a Pro Tour, they could. Like
Yes.
if they just decide, like, I think I'm going to win the Pro Tour today, and they're just going to do it. It's just like automatic because the seas will part in front of them. Because who the hell are you going to play against Kai and try to win? Like, who do you think you are? Kai? No.
They do not get mastered as well. The deck knows who's piloting. For sure.
Right? Seriously. The deck is like, I'm honored to be touched by your hands. But it was also cool because like I met Li Tan for the first time. I got to say hello to Depraz, J.E. Depraz, who is like the world champion. And I saw Simon Nielsen and we got to hang out and chat. And Simon Nielsen is such an adorable dude. Like he is so much fun to chat with. And um, even after he won the trophy, he runs and goes play a Commander game. And I'm like, you're so funny. You're so funny. um, and like I met Anthony Lee for the first time, which is like cool after having him on my show. But yeah, LSU wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, all right, we're going to talk because we're just, I guess, friends now. And Reed comes up and says hi and everything. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I find Kai later, and I got him to sign. I showed him the card, and I was like, look, man, they made a card for you. And he's like, wow, this is so much better than the old Juggernaut. And I'm like, yeah, well, so are you, buddy.
Yeah.
And that's when I say that maybe the most mortifying thing I've ever said in my life. Do you want the card? And because it's a card for you, like, and he's like, well, I'm not really collecting cards these days. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. And I was like mortified, and he has this twinkle in his eye, and he just starts laughing, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed.
What
But
a
it was awesome. I got a picture with him, and then I asked him if he'd come on my show. And at some point, whenever his schedule is free, he's going to come on the show. It's going to be amazing. Um, but dude, what a show!
what a
What
sh-
an absolute banger of a show!
yeah. What a the amount of people every day we somehow somewhere after pandemic we had this, not to sound corny, spark around the world that we want to gather, and by golly did we gather 10,000 people a day in that hall, free hall strong, all same minded, like minded. It is one of the most prettiest things I heard was that magic is a language we can all understand.
Hmm.
You're from, all cards do the same besides your home rulings. The cards, everybody knows is a charm. And that is, this weekend was a celebration of everything coming together on the right time, on the right place, and just enjoying magic. Well,
It was unbelievable. And you did like 3 panels or something, didn't you?
yeah, my Sunday was the mental health panel I did with Sahar. I
Oh
took
man.
it was weird because I took the spot that Hobbs or Ryan normally takes.
Mm.
That was really weird, but it's also a thing I love talking about, and I am very invested in being the mental health advocate for, yeah, at least the music industry, but now also a bit in the Dutch magic industry as well. I did a secret nerds panel with three big celebrities from our country.
I was really jealous. I wanted to go see that, but I was doing a thing at the time, I think, or I was sleeping.
And after that, because the thing is, every MagicCon I run in with you, Chicago, and now I end up playing games of Commander for the very first time. People I never envisioned myself being with at a table. So first thing that happens is I put my bag down and I hear you say, "Hey, would you like to play a game?" And I was like, "Yes." It turns out to be with Megan and Melissa Del Toro,
Yeah,
and
Megan Smith and Melissa Torah of R&D.
And I put my deck on the table and I was like, okay, fine. I'll play this deck I just built and I really want to test it. And she was like, I helped make that. And I was like, no, are you?
Yeah, you were playing the Satya deck. I was playing my Minskin Boo deck. Uh, Melissa was playing this weird choose your own backgrounds deck that Megan had built, which was really just neat looking. And Megan was playing this just brutal deck. I forget who her commander was, but it was some. The thing is, the game ended with you having like 200,000 tokens in play, and then Megan ink shielding you. And
Yeah,
I was like, that is what Sheldon would have wanted.
that was a very, very Sheldon moment. And then she attacked me and she needed to flip one card
Oh yeah,
and she flipped the one card.
she flipped the Akroma's the whatever Akroma's will, and suddenly all of her things are double striking, and just like you were at like some unbound number, you were like 500,000 life or something like that. Um, your deck would just found infinite combos and just went to town, and it was nutters. I was so exhausted by then though. I didn't even know what my card said. Um, but man, I had played so many games of Magic this weekend against people, and it was so wild because I don't get to do that at Magic Cons. And I got to play all of my decks, and it was delightful. It was joyful, and I didn't do any shopping at any of the booths or anything. I went looking for soul rings, German soul rings, didn't find any. And I'm like, Germany's right there, and they're like, why don't you just go then? I'm like, shut up.
I already went. I couldn't find the ring.
Yeah, it was so stupid. But oh, what the hell? Oh yeah, so one of the wild things happened. I went over and I saw that R&D was doing a signing with the CAG, and again, nobody came because they forgot to announce that R&D is doing a signing. I'm like, in America, that would have had a line that was like 6,000 people deep or whatever. But here, so I sat there and I go up to the R&D folks, and we're just chatting, and I know everybody there except for Michael Majors. And Michael Majors was the head designer of MH3. And I go up to him and I'm like, so what the hell's up with Nadu? And the first thing he does is he backs up and he goes, how is this conversation going to go? And I'm like, it's like, what is the temperature of this conversation? I'm like, well, I play Commander. I don't care about the modern. That's somebody else's problem. And I'm just here to joke around with you. Don't worry about it. It's not serious. And so we had a lovely conversation where I explained everything, because every time I meet somebody new, I end up just going to full lecture mode. And I don't know what was up with that. Like right now, why am I lecturing to you? That is not the point. Oh, anyways, whatever. The point though is Sunday night, right? So Sunday night, I'm about to leave, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to dinner with somebody, anybody, right? And Scott Larrabee takes Tim and Charlotte and Kristen out to dinner. And I was like, oh, great, I'll go to dinner with the CAG. And they're going to a steakhouse. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I won't go to dinner with the CAG. And then I'm like, okay, I'll go out to dinner with like Tappy and Jordan friends. And they're going to a steakhouse. Okay, well, I guess I won't go to dinner with Tappy and Jordan friends. Okay, well, I'll go to dinner with Graham and Kathleen and friends. Oh, they're going off to a staff dinner for Loading Ready Run. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I won't go to that. And then I'm like, I'll go and hang out with my Nijmegen friends, and they're like already back in Witchen. So I'm like, I guess I'm not going to go to dinner with them. And so I'm like wandering around, and it's raining because it's suddenly like sad boy hours here. The con is closed, the skies open up, and Tim has the keys to the room, so I don't have my jacket. I'm just walking around back and forth with my backpack in the rain between these two like hotels, looking for anybody to hang out with, and I'm just like total like weepy sad time. And I run into Esmond, who is from Singapore, and he was there hanging out with Julian Koch, who is a magic artist, and this other French magic artist who had done the art for the new GT, the Lost GT, and among other things. And I didn't know that. I was just like, he's like, you want to go to dinner with me and my Singapore buddies? And we ended up going back to the Italian restaurant that I went to, Graham and Kathleen, because they're like, you're vegetarian. We'll just go to the place that we can guarantee you food. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I had a great conversation with them. And at the end, I'm like, and looking them up, I'm like, oh, you're the guy who drew Otawara. Oh, damn. Okay, fine. And it was just such a fun, lovely conversation. We go back to the hotel and hang out, and then go out and just drink with all the post show people and meet up with Cedric and Megan and Maria and all the, and like we're just decompressing. And then Monday morning rolls around, and Tim leaves, and I'm like, okay, well, I was crashing at a hotel, so I don't have a hotel room now. So I'm like, Dan, save me. And like, you showed up and you took me, and we went around town and ate our weight in cheese.
Yeah.
And went to the world's slowest sandwich store.
Oh my God.
Like an hour and a half for the wrong sandwich. That ended up being absolutely delicious. Goat cheese and jam and arugula and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this sandwich rules. And it would have ruled even more an hour and a half ago, because it takes 10 minutes to make the sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really weird place. But that's the fun thing about this trip is I have done things in my own country I would have never done before
Oh,
because
yeah.
I can do that all day, and it feels so un-Dutch to be in a cheese store and sample taste for 45
Right.
minutes, which was amazing.
Yeah, we ate some, like, we were down to like, oh, do I want the 27-month cheese or the 14-month cheese? Do I get the goat cheese or the pesto? And I was like, I'll do this in America all day long, but it was so cool to do in the Netherlands. And like, you were so kind because you took me around to tourist shops, which locals never do. Why would you go there? Um, and then I ended up going on a boat ride with Gunnar and his partner. And we went on a canal tour where we all ended up falling some level of asleep just because it was so chill and relaxed. And the cool thing though is afterwards we went out to sushi and we ate until like, our eyes were leaking soy sauce or whatever, and
Mm.
go back to your place and spent the next like 5 hours trading YouTube videos. And like I was introducing you to Coke Studio songs and like all these Indian techno. I've got so many more songs I need to share with you. By the way, I came home and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't show him X, Y, and Z songs. And then you played a bunch of your songs. And it was awesome. And we had that is one of my favorite things to do at these like gatherings is the sleepover night afterwards, where we just sit and like show each other YouTube videos. It's so cool.
The beautiful thing about this is I realized that later on is that it extends the feeling of the con. It
Yeah.
makes it feel like it wasn't over yet, and you learn so much from what people give as recommendations in these. Hey, I got this part of YouTube for you. What do you have for me? And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think besides the fact we were very tired, we could have done that all night because that is
Oh yeah.
so cool.
It was delightful. It was absolutely delightful. And the real thing is, the real reason I like to do that is because when you leave a con, you have con crash hard. Like you're like because when you're in the con, you're in the space of collectiveness with your community. You're in this space of nirvana. You're in this space of like, everybody speaks the language I speak. I am not alone here. I am not ashamed of being who I am. We are all in a community, and we're in communion with each other, understanding what's going on. And when you leave that and you return to samsara, you return to the world of illusions that we live in, and it sucks. You're like, I was in the greatest place in the world where everybody knew my name and people loved me, and now I'm back in this dreary world of mortgages and jobs and having to deal with my family and my getting food on the table and blah blah. And it's a crushing drop, right? It's an emotional like weight of just landing on top of you, of like anvils hitting you on the head, and it sucks a lot. But and like the thing is, you got to remember, like these people still love me, and we can talk to them all the time on the internet. We are all still part of this community. We just don't get to be together all the time. But that's why after these cons, taking that step down of just being like, a couple of us are going to sit and chat, and then a couple of us are going to do a thing, and then we're going to slowly kind of whittle away and head back to the airport and go home. And that's how you avoid the emotional drop, because then you get this nice smooth landing of you're taking steps down, you're taking deep breaths, you're like, okay, let me just let this experience flow through me and past me, and I can get on that plane and feel good about myself. And like the next morning, like you gave me a croissant and cheese, like the standard Dutch breakfast of bruin bread and gas, and I was like, yeah, all right, let's go. And it was so good, except like I missed a train, or I caught a train late because I got to the airport and I had to run to get to my plane to get back. And then I got in, I got on, I was like the last one on the plane, but it's okay because I was literally in the last seat on the plane. Um, the thing that sucked though is like the plane, because I was the very back of the plane, by the time they would get to me, they would run out of vegetarian food. And I'm like,
Oh,
come on, dog. But anyways, luckily had my newts from your grocery store in the airplane. And so I was able to eat lots of mixed newts, and it was delightful. Uh, Amsterdam ruled. Like
yeah, man.
I had one of the best times I've ever had at a magic event. I had joy seeing all of my friends from different places. And it's weird because, like, in America, it's a different set of friends I hang out with. But at this one, it was just like, oh, look, this is so good. It's so good. I cannot wait to do that again, man. That was incredible. And you gave me records, which are cool. I'm super
Yeah,
stoked about that.
yeah. Like it. I mean, for me, at Bloomberg is really my set. I just gift. That's what I do. I love that. I am going to give so many people so many.
You're Dutch. You're going to give people fish all day long.
I'm going to give them all the fish, battered fish, normal fish, the
Stroopwafel fish.
oh, truffle fish, Belgian version.
Oh, God.
The thing about the con drop for me, what made it really easy is that these cons can be very fleeting. These friendships
Mm.
cons can also be very fleeting. The thing that really cemented it for me is that you guys, we've been around each other for more than a week, and we all had so much fun together that that cements so much more for future things, that it's easier to dial out, let you guys do your thing again, and you know that at one point in time, another magic on or whatever, you will see each other again and you will have
Mm.
more fun. And that made it so much easier for me. Although I must admit, the house is very empty without all of you being here.
That is the one thing that's hard to get used to. You're so used to stepping over people and people sleeping all over the place, and suddenly it's like, whoop,
There's,
whoops.
yeah,
Oh yeah, because like your roommate had like just moved out before we got there, right?
yeah,
So you have like a doubly empty house now.
yes. The moment Gunnar and his partner left was the very first moment in time I was alone in this house for a very long period. So that was really weird. It is still very weird, but I love it. I have a lot of space now.
Yeah, but it's also weird.
It's very weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what, dude? I am so grateful to you for the hospitality you showed, and more importantly, for just you were such a good friend. Like you guys saved my ass so many times at con from dying of starvation or like drinking or whatever it was, and it's just like, oh man, this is what friends are for. This is what friendship is, right?
Exactly.
Like it was such a joy, and meeting Steph was so much fun, and like God, I don't know, I freaking loved it. It was absolute blast, top to bottom. No regrets except for packing badly and leaving stuff in the hotel. But whatever. That's how. Oh yeah, the weirdest thing in the world. Like Gavin Verhey at the end of the day is like, "Does anybody want this very heavy lawn bowling set?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll take it." And it was like 1 kilogram balls of steel, and I'm like, "What the hell, buddy? What do you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I cannot bring." this mega sack of petanque balls back home. Yeah, they were just so. They were like 7 balls, and they're 700 grams each, and they're so heavy. And I was like, "Hey, hey, Danny, here you go. Here's a souvenir of my trip here. A Gavin's balls,
I,
Gavin steel balls. You can have them."
I am very, very, very looking forward to the very first unknown event on my on my channel, with these being the format.
Oh my god. Oh,
So weird.
Jesus
And also, a real weird thing for Kibu was you asked him to sign your bag of
Oh,
stroopwafels.
yeah, like, so at the Gavin event, Gavin makes cards for the locality that he's in. Like, at the Chicago one, he made, like, hot dogs, and here he made a bag of stroopwafels, which is, like, 8 food tokens that you can get out of the sack because it's and so I got him and Steph and you to sign it for me because you're my Dutch friends, and this is a sack of Dutch stroopwafels, and it's gonna be my memory card. I loved it.
He felt he felt such a star. Now he wants his own set of stickers. Now he is practicing it at home right now.
That's so awesome. I'm glad I was able to give him like he was laughing at me the whole time though, man. Because we would be trying to speak in Dutch or read Dutch things, and by the end of it, we had gotten that down. But your language is like somebody took English and just kind of ran over it.
We took a subway and we just went a couple of times forward to backwards and just ran
Oh
over.
yeah.
And,
Oh my god.
and we know that. And that's why we don't laugh about the apostrophe S anymore. We're just like, oh, here we go again. Somebody made us up. Fine, this is what we're gonna do. This is the meta now.
I will say this though. I got to eat some of that Dutch brown bread, like the triangle shaped bread that you guys have. It is so good. As an amateur baker myself, I deeply, deeply loved it, and I need to figure out where I can get some in the States because that stuff is hella good. But yeah, man, that was a delight. Is there any other stories or anything you want to share about the show?
Uh, I am very proud of the Dutch community. We came
Mm.
from afar. We're finally we're close to that one piece that we're looking for. That is one thing I really want to say. I mean, we gave a good show. We gave everybody a very good look into what it is to be here and to play Magic here. I'm still baffled by the fact that my final game at the last two cons was against Kathleen, once where you whooped my ass with a bunch of rabbits. And this game, I got taken out by my own prisoner dilemma thanks to Surge, which was really cool. And yeah, just in general, the entire us visiting an ice store in Dusseldorf and whatever transpired over there is one of my favorite moments of the entire week. Um, the mice ice cream thing was
Oh my god.
Chris got us so
We we went to an ice cream store in Germany, and honestly, the story is only funny to us. But boy, howdy, was it a good time!
it is
Also, that ice cream was insanely good. It
so
was so good. But
cheap as
anyways,
well.
yeah. Also, we had somehow managed to have amazing Japanese food in Germany. It was like, okay, why not? It was cool. Um, dude, it was sick, man. What a trip. What a cool trip. Um, but anyway, Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and like again, thank you for hosting it. And I can't wait till the next Amsterdam because like I think that they liked the city of Amsterdam a lot enough to want to do another one just because it's close to Germany where it's really hard for them to put on shows. It's close to England and like most of Europe by train or airplane, and I think maybe the only place that would be cool would be doing it in Italy or something, but I think that would get very expensive, just because we would spend so much money on food all the time. Uh, but yeah, thanks so much for joining me, and thank you for putting on that party too. That's sick. Um, if folks wanted to find you, where could they go?
They can find me on Twitter at Daniel Kane Rebel. They can find me on YouTube under Everything Spell Slinging, where I do all sorts of vlog content for you guys when you're not here to still see the country. And you can find me on Instagram at Daniel Kane Music, where you can also find sad music that I make.
Yes. And music is great, dude. It's really, really good and really enjoyable. You showed us some really cool music videos of you in the olden days. And I'm like, man, why don't you do that again? That music was really good. Um, God, I hope this cough goes away soon. In any case, my friends, you can find me at Gear Report Gears. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold, or at YouTube every Tuesday, thanks to my editor, Dan. You can also find me on Shivam Wheeler Love Magic or the Chronicles of Dragonlance. But remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time. And in Vegas.